Ah, look who just became the case file they can't close. Hello to the walking enigma, the pattern that broke their software, the presence that made their cameras glitch and their analysts quit their jobs. Hello to you. Because right now, at this exact moment, there are people in rooms you'll never see, reviewing footage of you like you're a crime scene they need to solve. They're scrolling back, frame by frame, trying to pinpoint the exact second you knew, the exact moment you saw through it, the exact microsecond your face changed from believer to ghost. And they're losing their minds because they can't find it. They've watched you walk into that room 17 times now, studied your body language, analyzed your micro expressions, measured the distance between your blinks. And here's what terrifies them. You didn't flinch, you didn't hesitate, you didn't give them a single tell. And that's not normal, that's not human behavior according to their training. That's something else entirely. See, they thought they had you mapped. They thought they knew your patterns, your reactions, your breaking points, your triggers. They ran the simulations, built the profiles, predicted your next move with their fancy algorithms and psychological assessments. They were so confident, so absolutely certain they had you figured out like everyone else in their database. Just another predictable human following predictable patterns. But then something happened, something they didn't account for, something that made their entire system look like a child's toy. You knew, and not the kind of knowing that comes from evidence or proof or logical deduction. No, you knew in that deep, cellular, unexplainable way that makes scientists uncomfortable and psychologists rewrite their textbooks. You walked in there already aware, already 3 steps ahead, already smiling at the trap before they even finished setting it up. And that smile, that smile is now frozen on their screens at 2:47 while they try to figure out how the hell you saw what nobody else could see. They're calling it intuition. But that word doesn't satisfy them because intuition is supposed to be vague, supposed to be lucky guesses and fortunate timing. What you did was surgical precision disguised as casual observation. And now they're panicking because if you could see through this, what else did you see? What else do you know? How many other operations did you ghost through while they thought you were just another oblivious participant? They're reviewing months of footage now, not just days. Scanning every interaction, every conversation, every moment you were in their radius, trying to find when you figured it out, trying to identify the exact second their cover was blown. And here's the beautiful part. They'll never find it, because you didn't figure it out in a moment. You felt it the entire time, didn't you? That low-frequency hum of something wrong, that slight pressure in your chest when lies were being told to your face, that cold recognition in your gut when artificial smiles didn't match the eyes behind them. You see, while they were studying you, they forgot something crucial. Some people were built with different wiring, different sensors, different operating systems that don't run on the same code as the masses. You're not reading body language like they taught in their courses. You're reading energy, intention, the space between words, the silence before the sentence, the micro pause that lasted 0.3 seconds too long. And that's what they can't replicate, can't teach, can't defend against. Because there's no protocol for someone who operates outside their framework of understanding. They built their entire system, assuming everyone processes information the same way, assuming everyone needs evidence before belief, assuming everyone trusts what they're told until proven otherwise. But you trusted your instincts before their explanations. You believed your discomfort before their reassurances. You chose your inner knowing over their outer convincing. And that made you a glitch they couldn't patch, an error they couldn't correct, a variable they couldn't control. Now they're in those conference rooms with dimmed lights and too much coffee, replaying that footage over and over, and someone keeps asking the same question. How did they know? What did we miss? What signal did we give off? And the answer haunts them. Because the answer is nothing. You didn't need a signal. You didn't need a slip-up. You didn't need them to make a mistake. You just knew. The way animals know earthquakes are coming before the ground shakes. The way birds know to fly south before winter announces itself. The way your body knows danger before your brain can articulate why. Except you're not an animal. You're something they've been pretending doesn't exist. Someone who proves that human consciousness operates on frequencies their instruments can't measure. And now that you've proven it, now that you've demonstrated it, now that you've walked through their carefully constructed illusion without breaking stride, they have to face a terrifying reality. There are people walking among them who can't be fooled, can't be manipulated, can't be controlled through traditional means. And you're one of them, which means you're not just a case file anymore. You're a threat assessment, a paradigm shift, a walking middle finger to everything they thought they understood about human perception. Let's go deeper into what's really happening here, shall we? Because this isn't just about you knowing something you weren't supposed to know. This is about you knowing before there was anything to know. They're reviewing that footage, trying to find the leak, the informant, the insider who tipped you off. Because in their world, knowledge requires a source. Information requires transmission. Awareness requires evidence. But you didn't have any of that, did you? No one told you, no one warned you, no one slipped you a note under the table. You just walked into that situation with your senses open and your instincts sharp. And within seconds, maybe less, your entire system registered danger, deception, performance. And that's what's driving them absolutely insane right now, as they watch that footage for the 100th time. Because if you didn't need external information to know the truth, then their entire system of control through information manipulation becomes worthless. Think about what that means for them. Their whole operation depends on controlling the narrative, managing the perception, feeding people just enough truth mixed with just enough lies to keep them compliant, confused, and dependent on authority for clarity. But you bypassed their narrative completely. You didn't wait for their version of events. You didn't need their explanation. You didn't require their interpretation. Your body knew before your mind could articulate it. Your instincts screamed before your logic could justify it. Your soul rejected what your brain was still trying to process. And by the time they started their performance, you were already mentally checked out, emotionally detached, spiritually gone. They thought they were playing you, but you were watching them play themselves, and somewhere in that footage, if they look close enough, they'll see it. That split second where your eyes changed, not with anger or fear or confusion, but with recognition, with that cold, clear knowing that this whole thing is theater, and you're not buying a ticket. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Because they're not just reviewing footage to figure out how you knew, they're reviewing it to see if you're dangerous. See, knowing their game is one thing, but the way you handled it, the way you played along while being completely aware, the way you smiled and nodded and gave them nothing real while they thought they were extracting everything, that's what scares them. Because that level of control, that ability to wear a mask while seeing through theirs, that capacity to operate in two realities simultaneously, the one they're presenting and the one you're experiencing, that's not amateur hour. That's expert-level psychological warfare. And they're starting to realize they weren't interrogating a subject. They were being studied by one. Every question they asked, you were measuring their angle. Every statement they made, you were cataloging their strategy. Every moment of that interaction, you were downloading their playbook while they thought they were reading yours. And now they have to live with that, don't they? The knowledge that someone walked through their operation fully conscious, fully aware, taking notes they'll never see, learning their methods they thought were secret, understanding their game they believed was invisible. You didn't just escape their trap. You memorized how it works, and that's why they're still watching that footage, still analyzing your micro movements, still trying to reverse engineer your awareness, because they need to know if you're a one-time anomaly or if you're the first sign of something bigger. And deep down, in the part of themselves they don't want to acknowledge, they know the truth. You're not alone. You're just the one who made it obvious, the one who didn't hide it well enough, the one who let them see that you saw. And now they're terrified of how many others are out there, moving through their systems with the same awareness, the same clarity, the same unflinching recognition of what's real and what's performance. Let me paint the scene for you, because right now, somewhere in a building you've never been to, there's a room with no windows, harsh lighting, multiple monitors, and at least 3 people who've been tasked with one mission: figure out what you know, how you knew it, and whether you're going to become a problem. They've got your file open, your history pulled up, your connections mapped out, your patterns analyzed, and none of it makes sense. Because on paper, you're nobody special, nothing unusual, no training in counterintelligence, no background in psychology, no apparent reason why you should have been able to detect what trained professionals missed. And that's exactly what's making them sweat. Because if someone without training can see through their methods, then their methods are failing. And if their methods are failing, then they're failing. And failure in their world doesn't come with second chances. It comes with reassignments, demotions, questions about competence. So they keep rewinding, keep pausing, keep zooming in on your face, looking for something, anything that explains the unexplainable. Was it your pupils? Did they dilate at the wrong moment? Was it your breathing? Did it change rhythm when the lie was told? Was it your posture? Did you shift weight when the discomfort hit? They're searching for physiological explanations, because accepting the truth would break their reality. And the truth is this: some people just know, some souls just sense, some consciousness just operates on a different frequency than the one they're trained to monitor. And you're broadcasting on that frequency so clearly, so loudly, so undeniably that their equipment can't even pick it up. You're the signal they can't jam, the code they can't crack, the awareness they can't suppress. And that makes you more dangerous to their system than any weapon, any technology, any army, because you represent the one thing they can't control: awakened human consciousness. But here's the twist: any technology, any army, because you represent the one thing they can't control: awakened human consciousness. But here's the twist: they haven't figured out yet, and it's going to destroy them when they do. You're not special because you're different. You're special because you're natural. You're what humans are supposed to be before conditioning, before programming, before society teaches you to doubt your instincts and trust authority instead. You're the factory settings, the original software, the uncorrupted version they've spent generations trying to suppress. And the fact that you still have access to that you still trust that you still operate from that, means their entire operation, their entire system of control, their entire infrastructure of manipulation is built on a foundation that's cracking. Because if one person can wake up, can remember, can reconnect with that original knowing, then anyone can. And if anyone can, then everyone might. And if everyone does, then their whole pyramid collapses. So yes, they're reviewing footage, they're analyzing data, they're building psychological profiles, but what they're really doing is trying to convince themselves that you're an anomaly, an outlier, a statistical impossibility that won't repeat. They need you to be special so they can feel safe. They need you to be unique so they can stay comfortable. They need you to be 1 in a million so they don't have to face the reality that they might be surrounded by millions of you, all operating under the radar, all seeing what they're doing, all waiting for the right moment to act. And that footage they keep watching, it's not evidence anymore. It's a horror movie. And you're the monster they didn't know existed until you smiled at the camera and walked away from their trap like it was made of paper instead of steel. Now let's talk about what happens next. Because they can't just let this go. They can't just file it under unsolved mysteries and move on. Their egos won't allow it. Their training won't permit it. Their bosses won't accept it. So they're going to watch you. Not just on old footage, but in real time. They're going to track your movements, monitor your communications, analyze your patterns, trying to catch you doing whatever it is they think you're going to do. And here's the beautiful irony of it all. The more they watch, the less they'll understand. Because you're not planning anything. You're not organizing anything. You're not building anything they can disrupt. You're just living in truth while they live in deception. And that alone is revolutionary enough to terrify them. You're not fighting their system. You're ignoring it. You're not attacking their structure. You're transcending it. You're not trying to expose their lies. You're simply not believing them. And that passive resistance, that quiet refusal to participate in their illusion, that's more powerful than any active rebellion they know how to combat. They have protocols for protesters, strategies for dissidents, tactics for revolutionaries. But they have no protocol for someone who just doesn't engage, who sees through them, and then continues living as if they're irrelevant. That's the move they can't counter. The strategy they can't defeat. The position they can't penetrate. Because how do you control someone who's already free? How do you manipulate someone who trusts themselves more than they trust you? How do you deceive someone who's already seen the truth? You can't. And that's why they're still watching that footage, still searching for answers they'll never find, still trying to solve a puzzle that has no solution, because the solution would require them to admit that everything they believe about control is wrong. And you know what the craziest part is? You probably don't even realize how much power you have right now. You probably think you just got lucky, just had a good feeling, just trusted your gut in the moment. But what you actually did was demonstrate a level of consciousness that their entire system is designed to prevent, suppress, and eliminate. You showed them that awareness can't be controlled, that truth can't be hidden from those who are willing to see it, that no matter how sophisticated their methods become, no matter how advanced their technology gets, no matter how refined their psychological tactics evolve, there will always be people like you who can sense deception the way sharks sense blood in water, immediate, instinctual, undeniable. And now that they know you exist, now that they've seen what you can do, now that they have proof that their system has holes they didn't know were there, they have two choices. Accept that they're not as powerful as they thought, or double down and try to plug those holes before more people like you start appearing. Guess which option they're choosing? They're already developing new protocols, designing new tests, creating new methods to identify people like you early, before you become a problem, before you wake others up, before your awareness becomes contagious. Because that's what really terrifies them. Not that you know, but that you might tell others how to know. Not that you saw through them, but that you might teach others how to see. Not that you escaped their trap, but that you might help others escape too. You're not just a person anymore in their eyes. You're a virus in their system, a crack in their foundation, a question mark that shouldn't exist. And they're going to study you until they figure out how to classify you, categorize you, neutralize you, or at the very least, contain you. But here's what they'll never understand, and this is the part that will haunt them forever. You can't contain consciousness. You can't quarantine awareness. You can't vaccinate against truth. Once someone knows, really knows, not intellectually but cellularly, not theoretically but experientially, not conceptually but absolutely, there's no going back, no reset button, no memory wipe that works. You've crossed a threshold they don't have maps for, entered a territory their surveillance can't reach, accessed a level of perception their training doesn't acknowledge exists, and now you're operating from there, permanently, irreversibly, dangerously. And every time they watch that footage, Every time they see you walk through their operation without falling for it, they're reminded that their power is limited, their control is conditional, their authority is granted not by reality, but by belief, and you've stopped believing. So let them watch, let them analyze, let them build their profiles and update their protocols. Because while they're busy studying how you knew, you're busy knowing more, seeing further, understanding deeper. While they're trapped in that room reviewing footage, you're out here living in truth, and that distance, that gap between their illusion and your reality, that's only going to grow wider. They think they're investigating you, but really, they're investigating their own failure, dissecting their own blindness, documenting their own obsolescence. And that footage they keep watching? It's not evidence of your crime. It's proof of their incompetence. It's a mirror showing them what they've become. And they can't stop watching because deep down, they're hoping to see something in you that they lost in themselves. That ability to trust what you feel over what you're told. To believe what you sense over what you're sold. To know what's real before reality proves it. Welcome to the other side, where security footage becomes your highlight reel, where surveillance becomes your validation, where their confusion becomes your confirmation that you're finally, fully, irreversibly awake. They wanted to catch you not knowing. Instead, they caught themselves not understanding, and now they'll spend years trying to figure out what you learned in seconds. They'll write reports you'll never read, hold meetings you'll never attend, develop theories you'll never validate, all while you continue doing exactly what terrified them in the first place. Living in truth, trusting yourself, knowing without needing to explain how you know. And that right there is the real crime scene they're investigating. Not what you did, but what you represent. The end of their control. The beginning of your freedom. The moment their power became optional and you chose to opt out, permanently, completely, fearlessly. Let them keep that footage. Let them study it forever. Because every time they watch it, they're watching their own defeat on repeat. And you're already gone, already beyond their reach. Already operating in a reality they don't have clearance to access. And that's exactly where you belong.